Hello, my name's Artemis, and about 4 years ago I did a video on how to take care of your feet, and that was something I was very passionate about. Obviously, foot care is a big part of my life, as you can pretty much see here, I would imagine, and it was a fun video to make, but times have moved on, and people's feet still need tending to and taking care of, and I have learned so much more about foot care since that I thought, fuck it, it's time for me to make another one, because, I mean, it might be winter now, but the summer is coming, okay? And unless you want to be stuffed up in boots and shoes the whole time because you don't want to get the grippers out because they're not that presentable, then we can do something about that now. We can fix that. We can get you ready for that time. And I mean, hell, let's just say it. Times are tough. Everybody makes jokes about selling feet pics, but hell, we might all end up at that position where we kind of have to. And if you want to do that, you better make sure they're presentable. So look, here I am to give you all the knowledge that I have, or at least most of it. Let's fucking dig into it. Now, obviously, feet are an incredibly important part of the body. They help us get around. They are important for everything. The stability of how we stand and how we walk, for all of our joints, for literally everything, which means it's very important we keep them in good, healthy condition because it affects the rest of the body as well. And because they are so important, that does mean that you tend to feel it more when you have problems with them. But I do believe that no feet are truly gross. They're only gross if you let them get to that state. And it's actually quite simple to combat the very common problems that you see all of the time. And look at that, we're going to talk about common problems. So, of course, one of the most common problems you're going to see is going to be the combination or the separated issue of dry skin and calluses. Now, dry skin, obviously, you will not recognize from being flaky. It will be slightly white, maybe, and it will generally feel with a sort of rougher texture to it. You might end up with a sort of itching sensation and just generally feel like papery skin. Now, this can be affected by many different things. Levels of hydration, diet. It can be affected by different medical issues as well, such as diabetes. But it is also winter, so you are more likely to notice dry skin. You get it on your hands, on your knuckles, where you get a little bit red and inflamed. It's a very simple thing to fix. It's a very common thing that people run into. Obviously, a good moisturizer is going to help you out a ton in this situation, but when it comes to the more developed skin problems, such as calluses, that's when you need to take a couple of extra steps. See, a callus is a build-up of hardened, thickened skin around a pressure point on the foot. You tend to get them around the heels, the balls of the feet, on the little insteppy bit, and often you seem to get them on the big toes as well. Sometimes you get them in the middle sort of part underneath the toes. These are obviously the high traffic areas for your feet. This is where a lot of the weight is being displaced and you're dealing with a lot of friction. So you tend to build up calluses here as a way to help protect the skin itself. Now, these aren't necessarily a great thing. They don't look all that fantastic. They can be quite painful if they get too dry and they crack. They are simple to fix, but fixing them is only half the battle. You do need to have a look at the root cause because a lot of the times it does come from ill-fitting shoes and a walking pattern that is not conducive to typical healthy feet. And we'll get onto that later. Of course, you have bunions and deformations of the toes. There are actually two types of bunion. There is the big toe bunion and the tailor's bunion, which is of the little toe. These, unfortunately, can be congenital. They can be DNA related, but they are also down to ill-fitting shoes. Unfortunately, it seems like traditional footwear does not conform to the shape of the human foot. In fact, it demands that the human foot conform to the shape of traditional footwear with a rounded toe box. That is not good. That is not healthy. And if you are wearing certain designs like high heels, it's going to be that much worse. Now, this can lead to you needing surgery to correct these problems, but you can actually combat it with different other methods, which we have a whole segment for later on, so I'm not going to waffle on it now. Fungal nails is a very common one. It's very easy to pick this one up without really realizing it and cause the nails to get thickened, discolored, and just generally not that great. This one can come from sharing like communal showers, for not practicing the best hygiene in the world, let's just say it. And it can be a little bit of a pain in the ass to get rid of. Same with athlete's foot, another fungal infection that can be a pain in the ass to get rid of. And once again, comes from communal spaces where they're damp and it gives the fungus a chance to grow. This one, you're going to need to deal with actual topical treatments to actually fix that one, but it's more preventative. You want to make sure that you are fully drying your feet after you have washed and you're not getting into areas where you're likely to see that shit spread. Gyms, swimming pools, that sort of thing. Of course, talking about nails, you also have the horrible ingrown toenail, which itself can be quite nasty. Now, most of the time, these will go away on their own if you stop cutting them, but sometimes you do need to see further treatment on that. This can be very simply fucking fixed by cutting your nails properly. That's with a flat edge, not with a curve. You don't follow the shape and the curve of the toe. That will just lead to more ingrown toenails. Don't do that. odor, which for some reason seems to be the main reason people think feet are disgusting, because they're sweaty and they smell and they're disgusting. Bitch, wash yourself, okay? Don't just let the shower water run down your legs. Actually wash your feet at least twice a day. Make sure your socks are clean. Make sure your shoes have time to air out and dry out. And maybe get some fucking shoe deodorant as well. Maybe get some foot powder if it's really that bad. I just don't feel like you've got the right to complain when it's so fucking easy to fix that problem. Okay, so we've addressed some of the common factors, but of course not everybody's going to deal with those, and if you do, then this can also help with that, because we're going to talk about skincare. We're going to talk about how to get your feet as soft and as smooth and as just perfectly healthy as possible, because that is the good stuff. The kind of feet that you don't need to be embarrassed about. The kind of feet that if you're wearing flip-flops or it's a shoes off in the house policy, you are absolutely A-okay and don't need to think, oh god, no, I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry. And I've obviously been doing this for a very fucking long time, so obviously, yeah, I'm not gonna stand here and gloat, but I mean, damn, my feet have that good soft squish, and I have some tips on how to give your feet the exact same treatment. Now, there are different levels of this, and there are different things that you can start off with. So we're going to be going through a DIY approach to it, doing it at home, but of course there are other ways you can do this. You can go to a spa, you can go to a pedicure place that can also deal with skincare, and they will do it for you. Now, some of these are better than others, some of them are more focused on nails, some of them are more focused on chiropody and actual general functional foot health, so some will have varying degrees of results, but they can also be pricey, and the kind of foot care I do at home is a hell of a lot cheaper and easier to manage financially and time-wise, so I tend to find DIY is the best way to do it. Just get it done yourself. Now, if you are going to be doing it at home, you have probably noticed that there are different things trending online, like the foot peel mask, which can be very good, it can be very useful, can also be very uncomfortable, and it can be very disgusting. So if you are looking to do this, it is definitely a potential solution. It can definitely help you out, but be very careful. This is literally an acid that you are soaking your feet in so that it will kill the skin and let it die and peel off over the next couple of weeks. I have tried one myself just because I wanted to give it a go. I found it was quite uncomfortable. It felt like the skin on the top of my feet was actually very tight, and it was not a comfortable experience. Would not recommend, but I've had other people I know who have done it and had great results. So have a look into it yourself if you are looking at that. It can be quite an easy, low maintenance way of doing it, but you're going to deal with some very disgusting peeling for quite a while. So, my little home remedy for softening those feet and getting the best possible skincare you can get is very simple. First of all, you are going to want to soak your feet, and I mean soak. You see, the first step to this is exfoliation, and exfoliation can be a very abrasive, very harsh process for the skin. You can do that when you are having dry skin, when it's not soaked, but that can lead to a few problems. That can lead to irritation, that can lead to accidentally going too far with the exfoliation and breaking the skin. When you soak the skin, it then softens, and it allows the excess, the dead skin cells, to be removed in a much gentler, easier, more efficient way. So I would suggest running a bath and soaking in that bath for like 20 or 30 minutes. Then comes the exfoliation. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can do this, and it all depends on your degree of need. Now, if you are someone who has rather thick soles and someone who needs to remove quite a bit of excess skin before you get to the healthy pink skin underneath, then you would be looking at something a little bit more abrasive, such as a rasp or the ped egg. You could potentially be attracted by the options of using a blade. I would not recommend that, okay? I use one very occasionally on myself. You really need to know what you're doing and be careful, because when I first tried this in my teenage years, I cut the shit out of myself. It was not good. Would not recommend doing this. It is an option, but can't say that I recommend that. There are various tools that you can use, such as those weird, like, rotating ones. I don't see them as being massively effective. I have tried them. They don't seem to do as good a job as just doing it by hand, but it may work better for you. So typically a rasp is going to be great for just getting a lot of skin off, and then a pumice stone is typically the medium option. That's usually what it's best to start off with. They're very cheap, very easy to use. It's just a rock with holes. It's a volcanic rock that you rub against the soles of the feet, and yes, it will just exfoliate very gently. It is also possible to go a little bit too far with this one, but because it has a slower degree of exfoliation, it's easier to read your body and to feel when you've done enough. Once the major exfoliation is done, then you can come onto what I like to call profiling, where you use a foot file, which is basically sandpaper on a stick. They usually come with 2 grains. There is a rougher grain and a softer grain. Use the rougher grain first. That will again smooth off lumps and bumps and just generally smooth off the texture. And then once you've done that all over, that's when you want to move on to the finer grain, which will give them that beautifully soft and smooth feeling. Oftentimes when you use things like pumice stones, you then feel your feet afterwards and you know that the skin has been removed, but they just still feel a little rough. That's because they don't leave you with a good texture. These rasps, these files do, and I highly recommend them. Definitely still do it when the skin is soaked and still wet, because it aids in a lot of things and you don't end up with dust. Obviously you need to pay special attention to the higher pressure areas, so around the heel, around the ball of the foot. If you are dealing with issues with your big toes, then there obviously you will be able to see where the thicker skin is and be able to smooth things off. So it's pretty easy to read that map. In terms of actual skincare on that front, you're pretty much done. Once you have filed them off and they are smooth and they're looking good, then it's time to dry off. And I mean dry off. Ensure your feet are fully fucking dry. You don't want to deal with fungal issues. You don't want to deal with irritation. Make sure they are fully dried off. And then we're into the really nice relaxing part. That is moisturizing and replenishing the skin. See, as I said, exfoliation can be a very rough, very abrasive process that your skin is like, whoa, what the fuck? Then you need to calm it down. And that's where a good moisturizer comes in. I will say it many times in this video, CCS is the best. That's the one you want to use. Use a generous amount, coat the feet. You won't be able to rub it all in. That's how you know you've put a generous amount on. Then just pop some socks on. Just give yourself a nice little massage, rub the cream, make sure it gets all over, everything from the ankle down basically. Pop some socks on and just let it sit for an hour or so. That's typically what I do, and you get the best results. You take those socks off, you're like, damn, holy shit, that was easy. They're super soft and squishy now, exactly what I was hoping for. You can use those sort of gel socks, the foot gel sock things. They are okay. Typically, they are okay at best. I tend to find a good moisturizer that you can trust is a much better investment in this. These gel sock things are more of a gimmick, and they are fucking difficult to walk around in once you've got them on. So do be careful if you do decide to use them, but they will give you a decent enough effect, and typically they tend to have more fruity sort of essential oil smells than a typical foot cream. And then you're pretty much done. This routine will vary from person to person. I typically do a very light routine once a week just to give myself a good spread, but that depends on need. There are people I know who I have done this for them, and I've only ever needed to do it once because they're good. There are also people that might need to do it more often. Listen to your body, take notice. I would advise not going too heavy all at once. Slow and steady is what does the job best. It's better to take off not as much skin than to take off too much. So do a light routine, see how you go with that. If you need to do it again, just do it again in a couple of days' time until you find a healthy medium. When you start doing this, it will feel like a lot. It really will. It will feel like, oh God, this takes forever, this takes so much time. But once you get the momentum, once you have a good base level, maintaining this is actually really quick, really easy. Most of the time, it's like 60 seconds in the shower to smooth the feet over and using a good foot cream. And you'll be surprised just how easy it is to not just get your feet into good condition, but keep them there too. Okay, so the final thing I want to talk about is going to be quite different, but I'm sure a lot of you have seen it because it's now trending a lot on Instagram, but it is the barefoot shoe movement. It's something that I became fairly obsessed with back in 2022 after Confuzzled. You see, I went to Confuzzled, I had a great time, I had COVID, I was off basically for a month, but I didn't realize that in that month, I was not wearing traditional shoes. I was wearing much wider footwear, much more comfortable, basically things that were akin to slippers. And because the weather was good, I was wearing flip-flops all the time. So when I finally come back from my solid month off from work, and I got to work and I put my Skechers on, they didn't fit anymore. And they were agony. They really fucking hurt because they were too narrow. So I then invested in some barefoot style shoes, and I have never worn decent, like traditional shoes since. That is what I have been tied into. You see, the human foot is a very greatly engineered thing. It is very good at doing its job all on its own, and it does not need the extra support. I fell into the trap of getting Skechers, getting thick cushioned soles with lots of support, and I wondered why my ankles hurt, why my knees hurt, why my back hurt, why my feet don't feel strong. It's because if you don't let the foot do its job, it will stop doing its job. And that's the problem with these shoes. So that's where the barefoot shoe movement comes in. What do I mean by barefoot shoe? I mean a shoe where the widest part of the actual shoe itself is the toes, because that's what should be the widest part of the foot. It has 0 drop. There is no padding. It is basically a glorified sock. It lets your foot do things properly. And it lets the foot spread out and generally walk in a natural gait. What do I mean by a natural gait? Basically, when you walk, you should be drawing a straight line through the middle of your heel, the ball of your foot, and the middle of your big toe. That is how the human foot is designed to walk. That is how it displaces its weight properly. You can tell that you're not doing this if you tend to get hard skin around the sort of corner of the big toe. That's called a pinch callus. That's from where you are rolling through the side of your big toe when you're walking, not through the center. That's a sign that you might need to rehab those feet a little bit. Rehab is actually a really good word to use because, unfortunately, traditional footwear deform and damage our feet, especially over a long time. That's why you tend to see toes that are slanting inwards. That's why bunions are so prevalent. That's why people have a lot of walking pain. It's because the shoes we wear are not designed for the feet that are supposed to be inside them. The barefoot shoe thing is definitely something I highly recommend. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I have noticed benefits not just in my feet, but in my entire fucking body. My knee pain is gone. My hip pain is gone. My back feels stronger. When I'm at the gym and I'm squatting, I'm doing it properly for the first time ever. My ankles are aligned properly. It is something that really emphasizes just how vital your foundation is to the rest of your body. There are numerous things you can do to help yourself out. I wear toe separators to align the metatarsals in my feet properly, to help them spread out, widen, and displace my weight better. That has had a knock-on effect of making my feet quite a bit wider, but it also means that I now displace weight better, which means the skincare is easier because it's less weight focused on specific points. As you can see, the healthier you make your feet, the better they tend to fucking be condition-wise, and I can't recommend it enough. Now, I'm not going to do a full-bore video on this. I've probably spoken longer than I intended to already. There is a lot of information you should look at. Check out these sites. They are very good with that. But I will tell you now, it is not just a financial investment you will be making. It is a physical investment. I have felt so many benefits from going down this rabbit hole and trying these shoes out. But once you start, you won't be going back. Which means if you're someone who likes fancy shoes, high heels, you're very much wanting to buy footwear in a traditional shop, you will be locking yourself out of those options because they will just feel painful to wear. So just be aware of that before you get in. But ultimately, it is better for you. And that's what this whole video is about. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this video helped. I hope you enjoyed looking at all of the feet that I got to offer you because, hell, you know me, I'm a massive show-off. I like showing that stuff off. But yes, thank you for watching. I hope it did help. This is something I'm very passionate about, obviously. It's something I've been doing for a very long time, and it's just nice to be able to share this information with everybody because I feel comfortable. I feel confident with this stuff, and it makes me feel good to be that person that's known for taking care of feet. Yay, good, great. As I said, I'm not obviously a licensed medical professional. I am not a beautician, I'm not a podiatrist, I'm not a chiropodist, and I've never done any formal training. This is just information that I have learned over my, what is it now, like 16 years of taking care of my own feet that's all readily available online. I've just sort of collated it and given it to you in an easier to digest format. So hopefully it helps, but if you are dealing with any actual proper issues, speak to a medical professional, speak to a chiropodist, a podiatrist, someone who knows these things. Don't take the word of a blue dog on the internet for the gospel truth. In fact, that's good life advice for any situation. But I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, and you've seen these feet on display, and you're like, I want to see more of those, well, guess what, bitch? We got you covered. Yeah, we're selling feet pics. You can come and check those out. You might like them. They're probably covering up the feet right now, the graphics, but hell, maybe I've put them in between, maybe it's on the side, I don't know. If, of course, you do just want to help support this channel, and you want to maybe get some merchandise, you can totally do that too. We got shirts, we got cushions, we got hoodies, we got loads of fun stuff for you to check out. And if you would just like to help me survive, you just want to put food on my table, cream on my feet, that was supposed to be like to help me buy foot cream. That sounded fucking wrong. So whoops, but whatever. If you just want to help us out, you want to maybe check out the Patreon and support us, you can definitely do that too, and I would love you so much for it. It would be just so amazing. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this video was a good educational one, and I will speak to you all next week. Bye!